Hey guys, Bravo here. So, when I first got into online game, it was before I even heard of the book called The Game. And I just got divorced. I couldn't cold approach to save my life. And I remember I got pretty good at it. Like I thought this was maybe the way to I'm going to find happiness and finally find a girl. And then later I read The Game, started getting into all this stuff, and other coaches were saying don't do it. Like online dating is not real game, and you should stay away from it. So I actually took a break from it for a while. I realized later it's because most of those guys just suck at online dating, and so that's why they're shitting on it. So I got back into it, and now I'd leveled up. I'd gotten so much better at it that I ended up helping other coaches, other guys I worked with. I would go to events and teach the online game 2.0 program, and other dating coaches would come up afterwards and ask me to go over their profile. And a couple hours later, they were having just day and night transformations with how many messages and matches they're getting. One at the last one in New York, he actually lined up a date like a couple hours later. Another very famous coach. So I went from taking a break from it to being so good at it that I'm now so good at it that I actually coach other coaches on their profile. So, anyways, this is the old program. It's still tons of great information. It's still the meat and potatoes of the program. So I hope this helps you. If you need more help, Online Game 5.0 program is actually what it's evolved into, which is a private section on my Discord. And you guys can get help directly from me. You can get feedback. You can get critiques on your profile. You can, if you get stuck, you can post copy and paste messages that you're getting, and me and the other guys will help you respond. So there's a lot more to it, but I just hope this video helps you out because this helped me out a ton.
So one of the first things we want to talk about is when should you use online game. It's really important that you don't use online game as a replacement for cold approaching. Lots of guys get into this stuff and they think, oh, I'm not that good out in the field yet, so I'm going to start trying to focus on online game. And that's a bad way of thinking. And this is me just being honest. I'm going to give it to you guys straight. So first off, you still want to get good at cold approaching in normal style game, because you still, when you pick up a girl online, you might come off all smooth and witty, but then when you go off on a date, your confidence and your charisma isn't going to be there to follow through. So you still need to focus on cold approaching in normal game. So what you should use online game for is a way to practice material, a way to actually, you can get dates, you can hopefully get sex, and you can practice having that while you're still practicing your normal style game. It's also very important that when you're doing this stuff, you don't focus too much of your time and effort on this. Really, it should be you get home from work, you spend a little bit of time on it, or hey, you're even screwing around at work and you're on it for a little bit. You can't go to sleep. That's what I do. When I can't sleep, I'll get on it, spend an hour on it, shoot out some messages, respond to some girls, set up some dates for next week. So that's how I recommend you use it. Some guys have gone on to use this as their primary tool, and you can do that too, but I highly suggest getting good at the fundamentals first. So we're going to talk about choosing a site. So there's social networking sites that are out there, and those consist of like Facebook, MySpace, and those sites are awesome, and I'm on them. I'm still on MySpace, but I'm only on it because people can Google me. But really, Facebook, it's a cool site. I like it. It's fun to screw around on, fun to stay in contact with your friends and family, but that's what you're there for. You're not there to hit on girls and stuff. And you can do it, and I know there's guys that teach Facebook game out there, but one of my mindsets with everything I do, tactical, martial arts, PUA, is I always want to be as efficient and as effective as possible. And I always joke that I'm lazy. I don't want to do any more work than I have to. So you can game on these sites, but it's more difficult. So I like to focus on the dating sites. And now there's paid dating sites like Match.com and eHarmony. I have some of my buddies who are on Match and they're killing on it. It's a great site, $20 a month. I'm gonna test it. I've tested it a little bit. It just wasn't that much, or it wasn't that as cool as the other one. And I still recommend doing the other sites, the free sites first, because you can polish up your game, then get on one of the paid sites. The pros with these are some people say that the girls are more higher class and they're more into it, they're more invested because they're paying for it. And I would agree with that. But with eHarmony, you can't check out the girls first. You're going to answer all these questions and stuff, so that's lame. And also, a lot of guys, you guys are students and stuff, so I don't want to recommend stuff you have to spend more money on shit. So there's free dating sites. Craigslist, I'll honestly tell you flat out, I would never date a girl from Craigslist. A girl who put up her ad on Craigslist, I don't even want to deal with. I mean, just the mindset behind that, no thanks. Then there's OkCupid. I've actually been testing OkCupid a lot. I actually got a date tomorrow with a girl from OkCupid. I don't like it. It's to set up a page, You got to answer all these questions. They do a personality test on you, and then they kind of try to match you with people. And I've dated the full gambit of girls. I've dated girls with master's degrees, all the way to like girls that just graduated high school or 19 years old, virgins, whatever. So I know for a fact that when I game people, I can game girls across the board. The problem with OkCupid is it puts you at like a percentage match. So instantly, if a girl sees you're like a 20% match, she's going to go, oh, I don't have anything in common with this guy. Or they can then go to all these questions that you answered, and they can see, oh, this guy has different political beliefs than I do or whatever. And a lot of that stuff later isn't that big of a deal. Or if you're just trying to hook up, it shouldn't get in the way. But it seems like it really does. So I've gotten heavily on it. I've tested it. It's not as effective. You can use it if it's big in your area. You can try it. And there's going to be advice on it on how to use OkCupid better on the forum. And a lot of the stuff I'm teaching you right now is going to carry over to it. But it's not my go-to one. My go-to site is Plenty of Fish. And I don't know if you guys have been to it, but it's very basic, very simple, very easy to use. The reason I like it so much is it's free. If you guys use what I'm telling you from this video and the transcripts from the forum, you guys could have a profile set up in 5-10 minutes and be hitting on girls. There's two big factors on this that I love. You can see up near the top right, there's a button that says Viewed Me. So you actually see who looked at your page. That's huge. Because if you're changing your picture, if you're changing your headline, if you're testing stuff, that's how you can tell if it's more effective or less effective. The other thing you can do is when you message people on this, which you don't get on OkCupid, when you message someone, they can actually, you can see if they read it, or if they read it and deleted it, or if they unread and deleted it. If they just deleted it without even reading it. You can see. So it's the most valuable tools you can have. You can see who looks at you. Now you can do incognito mode where you can see who's not looking at you, but still most people don't do that. And you can also see what happens with the messages. So this is the site I recommend, plentyoffish.com. It's free, tons of people on it, tons of girls on it, and there's a very high turnover rate. So that way if you're using it and you're testing stuff, a couple weeks from now, there's tons of new girls on it. So now you're going to set up a page. So right before you set up your page, you always want to try to gather intel. This is anything I do. I always want to try to gather information so I can make my page as effective as possible. So the first thing we're going to do is learn about the enemy. And who's the enemy? Not girls on the site. Some people think that. Girls are our friends. That's what we want to get. They're our allies, hopefully future allies. But what we want to learn about is the enemy. Who's the enemy? Other dudes on the site. So you always want to try to look at things from a girl's perspective. And this is one of my philosophies just in game and pickup in general, is I'm always trying to look at things from a girl's perspective. How's my body language? How am I talking? Social proof. All these things. I'm always trying to look at it from her perspective, 180-degree perspective. So let's do that on Plenty of Fish real quick. Here we go. I set this up. I just did a quick scan. I found this dude's profile, and this is basically a perfect example of what not to do. So hopefully, if this is, well, actually, I was going to say, if this is you, hopefully I'm not hurting your feelings. But if this is one of you guys, hopefully you take very detailed notes, because I'm going to help you out. All right, here we go. The headline at the top, and the username is nice and friend, and then the word hello. That's horrible. He doesn't even say nice and friendly. It's nice and friend, hello. That's the lamest headline I've ever seen. And we're going to skip down to his picture now. So first thing he did is he only posted one picture. Bad. And then the picture that he posted is horrible. Now I'm going to look at the picture. I'm going to try to... They say a picture's worth 1,000 words. So let's try to look at this picture real quick and see what we can gather from this. So first off, he's chubby. He has a double chin. He has bad facial hair. He's not a good dresser. It's like a baggy button-up, like Hanes shirt with 3 buttons on the front. It also looks like he's driving a minivan in the picture, which is just crazy to me. Like I always joke about when girls look at my page, or when I go to a girl's page and they have pictures of themselves driving a car, making faces and stuff. I'm like, that's really unsafe to do. So this dude's driving down the road right now. He took a picture of himself. Like, what's he doing? Is he like, oh my God, I gotta get a picture for Plenty of Fish. Oh shit, where's the cell phone? And he snaps a picture of himself. Just horrible. We can look at though and see that he's wearing a seatbelt, so at least he cares about safety. It also looks like he's driving a minivan. So that conveys tons of DLVs. Last thing, the most obvious thing, is his face. Now, I'm not saying looks do matter to a certain extent. They help you out, they hurt you, but you can always make the best of it. But this guy is just making a horrible face. It looks like he's actually shitting his pants right at this second. So horrible. And then because he has no other pictures, you can't tell if this is just a bad picture of him or not. So don't do that. Next thing we're going to look at, we're going to scroll down a little bit. It says, I'm seeking a woman. Good. For dating, that's the one I recommend. For dating, that's the choice. You can choose dating, intimate encounters, long term. I recommend dating, and I recommend specifically don't put intimate encounters, because later I'll show you that if you do put that, there's filters that women can do that can screen all those guys out. And also never message anyone who's there for intimate encounters, because there's also a filter that'll screen someone out if they've ever contacted a user who is looking for intimate encounters. So anyways, marital status, he said separated. I tested divorced and single, and clearly single is more effective, because when someone's searching, girls aren't going to be searching on the site going, oh, I want a guy who's separated. Where's he at? Where is he? This is going to be great. No, they're not doing that. Same thing with divorced guy. They're looking for someone who's single. And it's no one's business what's going on in your life right now. Until they become a serious relationship, then it can be their business. Interests, cooking, sports, movies, outdoors. Well, that's generic as shit and doesn't convey anything. Thanks. And now his About Me section. I am a guy who enjoys dating, family, friends, hanging out with good people, cooking, grilling, sports, dancing, and movies. Going for bike rides, walks, and long drives. Very laid back, hardworking, and I don't sweat the small stuff. He also doesn't sweat proper punctuation or spelling, because he spelled tons of these words wrong, smashed them all together, and what's really funny is at the very beginning it says, I am a guy who enjoys dating. He capitalized A, so he spelled that wrong. He enjoys dating, and he's a guy. Thanks, we didn't know that. That's great insight. And just like in marketing, someone might only read one or two words from this page, so if they went to it, I doubt they would because of the picture, but if they went to it and read the About Me section and all they see is, I'm a guy who enjoys dating, that doesn't convey anything about you. And then he just says all this lame stuff. So don't do that. You want to have something unique. I'll teach you guys how to do that. Then he says first date, lunch, coffee, quiet place, maybe a drink just to get to know one another. Or a little bit, or one another a little bit. See if there's chemistry. Yeah, I'm sure girls are just lining up for this. Then he said his male settings for female, age between 30 and 50. That's creepy right there too. So just bad across the board. Don't do what this dude did. So I also set up a female page. And if you guys are on my forum, the one that said microphone test, the Asian girl, I used her fake name as Mandy. And I had set up a fake profile just to see what it was like for girls on this page. And you can see at the bottom, it says more email. There's 13 pages. And it's just insane how much crap girls get sent here. I'm just going to quickly go through it. But this is why you got to stand out, because we're going to just check the subjects. Hi, hello, hi Mandy, hey Mandy. Literally 3 in a row. Hey, hello. Must be nice. Hey, hi. Hey, hi, you sound great. Hey, not going to lie. Hello, beautiful. Meet for a drink. Hi, gorgeous. Hello, hey there. Hi, hey, hi. Hey. And look right in the middle. I need a female opinion on something. And you can see on the right, it was the one that I replied to. Now, I actually felt bad for this guy. He seemed like a nice guy. I messaged him. I pretended to be Mandy, and I was like, hey, my friend teaches this stuff, so just so you know, the opinion openers aren't the best on here. Those are more in person. And then we chatted once or twice. I was going to joke that he sarged me at work, but yeah, it didn't. So he at least tried to do something different, which is, I could give him a thumbs up on that, but you can see it's just overwhelming. So don't do the same lame shit. And you can see that was 4 pages, all within 2 days of each other. It's insane. So next, we're going to worry about headline. All right, and the next thing we need to think about is the headline. And that's actually, when you're setting up a page, it's the very first thing you see. We're going to go top to bottom. So I actually tested a whole bunch of different headlines, and I had a lot of fun with this. And this is why it's important when I was talking before about split testing. And by testing, there's a term called split testing in marketing, where you test 2 different things on the same kind of group of people, and you want to see which one's more effective, because then that's the one you go with. So what I would do is I would log in at the same times during the day, or I wouldn't log in for a while. I did this with some on both, but I tried to do as much as possible the exact same across the board, remove any X factors. So I tested all these different headlines. Then once I got a good headline, I tested different pictures. And this is all the stuff I found out to be the most effective. But anyways, headlines that I tested. The very first one I put up, I wanted to be as AFC as possible. I wanted to just be the biggest dork, the AFC, just get lost in the crowd with all the other guys. Like, just the most popular, biggest, probably used line out there, looking for a nice girl or whatever, trying to make it as horrible as possible. And of course, it performed horribly. Like, no girls checked out my page. No one messaged me. So then I decided to use a line. This is a line I use a ton in field. And when I'm talking to girls, one of my cocky, funny lines, and they ask me, oh, so like, what's your name or who are you? And I go, oh, I'm the guy your mother warned you about. And I just love it. It's one of my best lines I always use. So I was like, oh, let's see how it works on here. Well, wouldn't you know it? It worked awesome. And it's actually my favorite. It's my most, my one that I go to. It's my meat and potatoes, like my solid one. I go back to it actually right at this moment. And that's the one that's on my page right now. So I put it up. Girls start viewing me. Girls start messaging me. But once I did all the other stuff also. But this is gold. So this is one that you can use today. The guy your mother warned you about. And now the next one I put up was actually like maybe my favorite one. Or one of the top favorite. And I thought it would be really funny. It's funny to me, but we got to remember what's funny to us and funny to guys isn't necessarily what's funny to girls. So my thought behind this was I wanted to like AMOG every other dude on the site like as fast as possible. So I put up not creepy or a wuss like every other guy on here. And that was funny, and I got girls checking me out and stuff, but it wasn't nearly as effective as the guy your mother warned you about. But you might want to test it and try it. One of the newer ones I've tested, you can actually see this in the transcripts on the forum. A girl actually messaged me about, oh, you need to teach Cupid better aim. It's this headline: I taught Cupid everything he knows. And I tested this one, and it wasn't quite as good as the guy your mother warned you about, but if you're putting up your page, if you have like the smooth operator, seducer kind of vibe, that one might be really good for you. And it's a solid one, and I use it, and it's still fun. And I got it's from this real old book. It was like the title of it translated, so I think it's funny, and I've used that line now in field too. Now here's my top secret headline, and this one was the most effective one. And it's very important that you pay attention right here, because one of the guys from the conferences actually put on his page top secret headline. So the headline isn't the words top secret headline. I'm just not letting you know it yet because it was so awesome. I want to like get this reaction from you watching this right now because it's so fucking counterintuitive. So my most effective headline, my top secret headline was, I'm kind of an asshole. It's so counterintuitive. It's so crazy. I just kept pushing it, trying to see how far I could take it. And I finally put this one up because I used to joke about it. I go, oh, I'm kind of an asshole. Hey, what do you want me to say? I don't apologize for shit. And I decided to put it up, and I couldn't tell you, man, how many girls would message me because of it. Oh, you're so funny. Oh, your page is so funny. Finally, someone who's honest. That's great. And it blows my mind. Now, I will admit, though, a lot of the girls this one attracted aren't like kind of like the nice sweetheart girls because they get turned off by that. But there were some. But if you're trying to party with girls, this one's an awesome one. And what was really funny is one girl who I actually ended up dating for a while, she messaged me. We started talking. I went to her page and said she's looking for a nice guy. And I messaged her back, and I was like, wait, how come she messaged me first, too? I was like, well, how come you're messaging me first when my page says I'm kind of an asshole, and on your page it says you're looking for a nice guy? And she goes, aha, you're so funny. And I go, no, I'm serious. Why are you messaging me if it says you're looking for a nice guy? It doesn't make sense to me. Because I was really trying to fucking figure it out. And she goes, oh, you want the truth? And I go, yeah. And she goes, okay, well, in my experience, every guy who's ever told me he was a nice guy turned out to be an asshole. And I'm like, okay. And she goes, no asshole would admit to being an asshole. And I go, all right. And she goes, by the process of elimination, that makes you a nice guy. And I was like, you figured it out. Okay, you got me. I'm actually a nice guy. And she loved it. And then I ended up banging her. But anyways, yeah, this headline is just gold. If I need to hook up, if I need to have some fun, if I'm in a little bit of a slump, I kick the heat up on my page. This is the headline I go back to. So the next thing we want to talk about is pictures, and you kind of already saw one of my pictures, but now we're going to get back more into it in depth. And you can see from the left to right, I'm just going to scroll through them, and you can see my first one. It was like me sitting down. I'm dressed nice. I don't look like out of shape. It's like a full body shot. You can also see too that like when it's a thumbnail like this, you can't make everything out, and you're like looking at it. There's like a halo behind my head. Girls mentioned that. So I tested that as my primary one, and that one did really, really, really well. I'm using another one right now, but it hasn't been as effective as this one. So a nice full body, you look small when you're looking cool, that's awesome. As soon as they go to my page, they see all these other ones. You see girls kissing me on the cheek, me shrugging my shoulders. Hey, I'm kind of an asshole. I got another girl on me. That's great. I'm cocky. Shows pre-selection. But I always want to like soften it up. I always want to like temper it. So my next picture, I have the pumpkins. And I'm smiling, and there's one of me doing tactical training, another one of me dressed up like a SWAT guy when I was doing a low light class, one of me dressed up fancy, and then one of my headshots. And I'll get into the headshot in a second. But out of all of them, all these pictures need to DHV. And you can actually see in the transcripts also on the forum, there's one field report, and I think the title is like, Why Your Pictures Matter So Much. The girl literally went through all my pictures, and there's a new one of me singing karaoke, and she literally conveyed each DHV I was trying to convey in the picture. She said that's why she messaged me first. So this is just a close-up of my one, because I have all this cocky stuff. I wanted to put up something funny too. So I go, mad pumpkin carving skills, and I always joke about that with girls. But those are pretty good pumpkins too. So that's something you want to soften up. You just don't want to be a dick, cocky. It's got to be cocky funny. You got to soften it up. So this is one of the ways I do it. One of the current ones I'm doing now is I have a picture of me and my cat. So anyways, back to that other picture I'd mentioned, the headshot of me, that was actually used for one of the conferences, that picture. And it did worse than my full body one. It was actually like one of the worst pictures I ever tested. And the reason with that full body one is you're not 100% sure what you see, but when you get that professional picture, what does it instantly convey? You can see close up of their face, so she might not like it and just not even look at my page. But if there's a little bit of intrigue because of the picture, they might want to look at it. Also in LA, the picture gives off that actor vibe. And girls even told me later, oh man, all the guys that are on here with headshots and trying to be actors, it's just sickening. And I didn't see that when I looked. But I will admit, when I did the search for the guys, I didn't look in my area. So I realized that later. So when you're doing the search for the guys, do a quick search, look in your area. But yeah, that's a big thing. Out in LA, don't put up any headshots. So the next thing we want to talk about is the likes and interests. I quickly skip through that, but here's the important stuff. So I want to actually convey about my personality, who I am, martial arts, magic, yoga, guns, knives, Callie my cat, karaoke, music, 80s music, Kirby enthusiasm, always sunny, cool guy stuff. Like, I put up that stuff to really convey who I am. You can also see my profession up above. I say alpha male. So that really lets someone know what I'm into. I'm into martial arts, guns, knives. And if girls are interested in that at all, especially on my page, there's the firearms training thing. Girls, check it out. That's great. So you want to have a couple specific things. Not a ton of them, just a handful of them. So the next thing I want to cover is your About Me section. And this is next to the pictures is the most important part. So you want to say... Well, I'll read you what I'm saying, but you don't want to have it too big. I tested big, I tested real short, and this would have been my most effective one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 messages, 5 sentences. That's it. And here's a close-up so you guys can read it better. It says, about me. I go, not fond of the LA club scene. I'm tired of being asked if I have any blow. Guess I'm looking to see if there are any girls who break the LA mold. Firearms instructor, taught that for a few years, needed a change, so co-founded a yoga studio in Phoenix. Now here and right. Crazy how life works out. Guess the secret works. ... And this is the best part. Do not message me if you are a stripper, bartender, waitress, aspiring actress, Scorpio, or if you have implants. It never works. ... And you can see transcripts on the forum where girls literally pick these out one by one. How come you have a problem with Scorpios? What about implants? Blah, blah, blah. It's awesome. It shows pre-selection. It shows that I'm picky. It's just a funny, cocky line. I have girls messaging me all the time about it. So a couple of things here. I'm saying I've been to the LA club scene. I'm tired of being asked if I have any blow. So I'm conveying that I go out, looking to see if there's any girls that break the LA mold. That's one of my lines I use with girls out here. And girls always don't want to be put in that category. And then I DHV a few things with me. Firearms instructor, taught that for a few years. And see how I downplay it so much? Needed a change, so co-founded a yoga studio in Phoenix. Even that. Girls message me, oh my God, you did a yoga studio? And I downplay it. Now here and right. Crazy how life works out. Guess the secret works. Another thing. That's another fishing hook. The girls, oh yeah, the secret's awesome. My mom got it for me. Blah blah blah. So there's these things that are available for her to initiate a conversation with me. Very very important. The last thing we're going to say is the first date. And this is what I had on my page there is you would take me out for sushi, then I would do all the things to you that the last guy was too much of a wuss to do. And you can see that in my field report, Sex in the Bar. This is what I said to the girl. We joked about sushi. And she goes, oh, you can take me out for sushi, but I'm not paying for you. I'll take you out, but I'm not paying. I was like, all right, deal, but we should talk on the phone first. So once again, funny, cocky, unique. What I have right now on my page is just meet for a drink, see if things click, then we can take it from there. Or if we click as well as it does on the phone, as we do when we're out on a drink, we can take it from there. And it's not working as effectively. I'm testing it. This one right here has been my most effective one. And here's actually one of the variations that I tested. This one was really, really good, but I added the little part at the end, which I don't have currently on my page. So that's the thing to always remember when you guys go to my page, which is available on my forum, the link to it. What's on my page might not be the absolute best thing because I'm constantly testing, I'm constantly tweaking. But the best stuff will be posted on the forum all the time. So here's another, and in this video. So here's another one that was awesome. Meet for a drink somewhere low key in public in case you are nuts. P.S. No sex on the first date, so don't even try it. ... Girls say that all the time. I just wanted to say it before they could say it. And it's funny because then later I hook up with a girl, I have sex with her, and she was like, "Oh, I thought you don't sleep with anyone on the first date." And I'm like, "Oh, guess you won. Guess you beat me." So that's one of the funny cocky lines. All right. Another important part is the mail settings. And I did this at the beginning. At the bottom it says mail settings to message Bravo 13. That's my username, Bravo 13. You must meet the following criteria. Female, must not be looking for talk or email. Other relationship, intimate encounter, activity partner. Those are still good ones to put up. And I know they've changed it and tweaked it, but I'm not looking for a fucking pen pal. I'm not looking for some weird other relationship. Intimate encounter, that's a hookup. She's hooking up with other dudes. That's not my thing. I like getting a girl that's like not just hooking up with other dudes. I want her to hook up just with me and do crazy shit with me, not with everyone. And I'm not looking for an activity partner. But the important thing is in intimate encounters is if you ever message anyone who's there for it, it then puts you in a different category where you can't message girls. There's a choice you can say, must not have contacted user for intimate encounter to contact this girl. So don't. If you want to, set up a separate page, but don't do that. And then you can see I appear on some favorites list because girls go to my page, they love it. Most of them weren't that hot. All right, tips on searching for girls. How specific should you be when you're searching? What to look for? I want you to be as picky as you want. Like I scrolled through here, I'm a male, I'm seeking a female, 18 to 32, I'm 30 years old now, 29 when I did the screenshot. I don't want to date anyone that much older than me, but 18, they're legal, it's good to go. She must be single. I tested she wants children. I've tested no, I changed that one. Smoke, I don't want to mess with that, no drugs. I was trying to do a scan on here for Asian girls, so I said black hair, Asian, gallery, so that way I can just look at a lot of pictures. I tested dating, but the ones I go back and forth from are dating and long term. Smarts, didn't care. Body type, thin. I changed that from thin to athletic to average, but generally average means fat, slightly overweight means fat, big and tall means obese. So thin, and then sometimes didn't answer, because a lot of girls don't even like talking about that, but test it. And then income, I didn't care. But really when you do this, I'll test it, and I'll even do the quick searches, and I always want to test, like, on this one I said Los Angeles within 25 miles, but what I've just been doing now is just within 5 miles, because if it's a girl that's hot, and I'm really specific, I might do this and do a scan within 5 miles, and there might only be 2 pages of girls. And I scroll through them, check them out. If I want to message them, I do. A lot of girls I check out, but I don't message them. And then if they check me out, which I'll get to in a second, then I know there's some interest there. But be as specific as you want. If you're in a smaller town, then you got to widen the fishing net. But me in LA, major city like Phoenix, very, very, very specific. Now, what to avoid? And this is really important. When you're looking at girls' pages, be careful of girls with contrast. Look at her face right here. She has her cheek, half of her mouth is gone, her cheek's gone, her nose is gone. It's horrible. And when you're looking at this, any girl who doctors these photos, they know what they're doing. So I've been called out before. People are like, "Oh, you're lying to girls. You're teaching guys how to lie to girls, blah, blah, blah." And I go, "No, I'm not. I'm just teaching guys how to convey cool attributes to their personality in a very short time frame. That's not anything sneaky or bad." To me, this is completely sneaky and bad. This is lying. And a girl who's misrepresented herself, at least she's saying at the top right, a few extra pounds, which means she's fat. But when a girl does this and they put up a picture that's an angle and you can see below she's doing all these weird angled shots, it's like, as guys, we never take pictures and turn the camera at a 45-degree angle or close our eyes and make faces and arch our back. I mean, girls have mastered this. It's an art form. I know girls that stood in front of the mirror for hours working on their pose that they do because they always want to look hot. So be careful. And you want to look at pictures, you want to look at a lot of them, you want to see what's going on, not get tricked by just one or two. But this one, huge red flag. Another one, contrast. You can see this chick's 36. Look at her pictures below. There's ones of her passed out on the couch. There's like a beers in front of her. This picture, tons of contrast. And then on the lower right, you can see it. I didn't want to zoom in on it because I felt kind of bad. But yeah, her username at the top too is the sucker fish. You're a sucker if you fell for it. But you can see she's like looking down and away. Just bad picture. She looks really old and rough in the face. Just not cool. So contrast is something you want to worry about. Now here's a great example. This is from the internet. Looking at this, man, this is my type of girl. I like the raccoon eye. She has one little lip piercing, light skin, dark hair, nice lips. I mean, if I saw this girl and she looked like this, I'd be fucking totally going for it. This is smoking hot chick. Unfortunately, I can't see her nose, can't see her cheeks, so something's up. So let's see what she looks like without the contrast trick. So I joked later that this looks like the girl from The Ring, that she just came out of that TV back there. And you can see her skin isn't that good, nose doesn't look good, eyebrow, all the stuff just doesn't look good. So completely misleading, completely not cool. Be careful. Another thing you got to worry about is angles. I already talked about this beforehand. You can see with this, though, she's kind of angling in, she's leaning, she's tilting her head, she's working that angle. Now, the way you can tell something's up, though, is look at her neck. You can always see the fat in the neck. That's how you know. And when girls do these weird shots, same thing in the arm. You can always see some fat in the arm. You got to be careful. Girls that are doing these weird things, if it's only picture, you're going to get tricked. Same thing on that bottom right picture. But at least in their middle, you see a picture of her sitting down, and you can see her fat arm. You can see that she's a pretty big girl. So I'll at least will give her that. But let's look at a very interesting thing. Look at the top right. What type of body type does she have? Average. That's not an average body shape. So that's a fat shape. I feel like an asshole being a dick like this. But anyways, I'm kind of an asshole, so it's okay. But anyways, that's what to worry of. Angles. And then she kind of photoshopped this one too and blurred it and softened it. So yeah, stay away. Unless that's your thing. Another perfect example of angles. Here's a perfect shot of an Asian girl. She's leaning back. Her eyes are closed. It looks like she's having an orgasm. Something's going on. This would be a good, if I'm riding her on top, this would be a good face for me to see a girl. I'm looking down her nose a little bit, but she looks pretty hot there. And this is one of those funny demotivational pictures. Angles. Ask for several pics. Pretty bad. Once you look at it down there. No comment. And here's another huge thing you have to be worried about. Cropped pictures. Because a girl can put a picture up like this. This is another thing with angles. And this is another thing, like I talked before. Look at the neck. Also look at the titties. Fat girls love showing off their fat titties. They're trying to trick you. They're trying to draw the eye away from the fat. So be careful. Anytime I see a picture like this, I know instantly she's fat. I see a fat neck, instantly she's fat. But doesn't look that fat. I mean, nice glasses. That's another thing, though. Big ass glasses. She's coming up a lot of her face. But she looks like she's like a LA girl, a Hollywood girl. She has the bleached hair. She looks like she cares about it. She's making a little bit of a kissy face. So that's another thing to be worried about. But anyways, I'm just going to be quiet. Here's the crop picture. This is the full picture. That's not a trick. That's what she's rocking. And you can see how the crop picture completely changes everything. Horrible. Another one, angles. Good angle, bad angle. See the fat in the arm? Trying to show off her titties? Ugh. Good angle, bad angle. I'm just gonna let that sit for a second. Alright, I don't want to punch you guys too much. I'm skipping ahead. Alright, initiating contact. Alright, initiating contact. So, it's broken down in a couple different ways that you can message someone on Plenty of Fish. So, cold messaging. And what cold messaging is, that's an opener that you're doing out of the blue to her. The first contact. You're messaging her first. So one of the cold messages can be a situational opener. And that's something about her page or her picture. And that's funny, and those work, especially if you have good improv skills, or if there's something like really unique on her page that you pick up. It works. I use them all the time. They're awesome. And there are girls that contact you first, and there's girls that check you out first. But especially for a lot of guys when they're starting out, you're going to be messaging them first. So you can either use a canned opener or a situational opener. So situational opener, here's some examples. There was one girl, and this is going to be a transcript of HB Blackberry, but it's a transcript from when I initiated messaging her. In one of her pictures, she was like sitting in this white leather couch. She was out drinking a martini at a club with her friend. And it was just a funny picture. And she actually did look like she was sitting on a toilet. So I just messaged her. I said, "You look like you're sitting on a toilet in that picture." That's it. And she responds back, "Great, that's exactly the look I was going for. Thanks so much." Ha ha. And I go, you probably were trying to use like your womanly tricks to make me think that, so I would message you. It apparently worked. I was like, well played, well played. And then we started talking, and I ended up sleeping with her. Or I just want to clarify, when I say sleeping, I mean have sex with. She didn't necessarily spend the night. But yeah, I had sex with her. And she actually was working on her master's degree at the time. She graduated right after we ended. And you can actually see the whole transcript all the way on the forum. So another way of doing it, cold messaging, is a canned opener. And some of the ones I love using, and I use this out in the field a lot with the girls, is I say, are you one of those girls who takes forever to do her hair or makeup, or does it just look that way? And they can either usually respond back, yes, I am. It takes me hours. And I go, well, as a guy who you get dressed up for, that you spend all that time getting ready, as a man, let me just tell you that I appreciate it. Thank you for taking that much time and energy to look hot for me. I appreciate it. The other message you'll get is girls where they go, no, I don't. I can get ready and out the door in 20 minutes. And I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Nothing bugged me more than with my ex-girlfriend. She would take like 2 hours to get ready. We were always running late. I go, that's awesome because you look that put together when you get ready that fast. That's awesome. So then we got the conversation going. I started using this one on Plenty of Fish. This one worked really, really well. Man, I haven't used this one in a little bit. I need to go back to it. This one worked awesome. I go, reading your profile, I think you're like an 85% match. Not sure if you can handle the other 15%. And I put like a wink or something. And you can actually read that, the late report, sex at the bar. That's what I opened the girl up with. So that's a cold message that you can use right then. Reading your profile, I think you're like an 85% match. Not sure if you can handle the other 15. So initiating contact. Cold messaging is one way of doing it. And now there's the viewed me section. I talked about that button before. This is where you can see the girls who looked at your page. And you can just scroll through right now. You can see all these girls are checking out my page. Some of the girls don't have pictures. They're instantly nexted. And you can just scroll through this. You can see some of the girls are using the angles. Some of them are doing weird pictures. Some are laying down. Some are doing self-portraits. Some you can see adjusted the contrast. All the things I warned you about before. But you can also see there's some cute girls here. So these girls either looked at me first or they looked at me after I looked at them. So either way, there's a certain level of interest there because they checked me out. So then I go for it. So this is one of the styles. You can still do the other canned openers on them, but this is the way that I've modified the openers into this specific category just to be more precise. So I just message them and I go, oh boy, and that's it. And that's because they already checked me out. I can be cocky funny like this. Another one is I go, you look like trouble, wink. And then this is one of the better ones. So I go, so you checked me out but didn't message me. So what, not hot enough for you? It's okay, I can take it. Probably for the best. You're a Scorpio, nothing but trouble. Wink, Steve. And now two things there is I always say something about their page. Oh, you're a Scorpio, especially because on my page it says no Scorpios. Tons of Scorpios check me out. They don't message me. I message them and they said, oh, you said don't contact you if you're a Scorpio. And I said, oh, I'm just playing around. And then they're like, oh, okay. But a lot of times they won't say it, even if they are a Scorpio. They just roll with it. Just like a false time constraint. If they don't want you to leave, they're not going to bring up your false time constraint. But I always add my name at the end. Always, always, always. And the reason I do is if they respond back and they say, hey, Steve, blah, blah, blah. That means they paid attention and they took the time to personalize it. That's huge. The next thing is if they respond and they put their name at the end of their response, that's an IOI. That's also huge. They're trying to make it more personable. So always do that. And I never ask them their name unless it goes on for a while. Then I might say, hey, I don't even know your name yet. We're already planning to date. And they're like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even think about it. But anyways, that's here. I always give my name first. So you look like trouble. And here's the way that I ended up using, I kind of mixed a situational opener with this canned opener. So I go, you checked me out but didn't message me. What, not hot enough for you? It's okay, I can take it. Probably for the best. Now here's where I made it unique for them. I go, your elbows look scary. Laugh out loud. Wink, Steve. And I go, seriously, that pic, the angle makes it look crazy huge. And this girl was really hot. And she had like her arms crossed behind her head. And her elbows were kind of like pointing at the camera. So it was like the elbows were really close to the lens. And it made them look like crazy big and sharp. So I messaged her that because I just thought it was funny. I noticed it was situational. I modified this, sent it to her. The great thing is she responded to me like minutes later. And she goes, how did you find out that teasing girls gets them to respond? It's way better than... And then she actually said, oh, like writing a poem like this other guy did. And then she included the poem. So this is how ruthless girls can be sometimes. She's making fun of the AFC to me. And she doesn't even know me. But literally she goes, how do you know that teasing girls gets them to respond? It's way better. And she goes, by the way, my knees look scary too. I think it's because I was so skinny growing up. So now she's opening up to me. Then we started talking about hanging out, and it was on. So anyways, that's a great example of how you can modify these. Lastly, when the girl messages you first, and when you have a really awesome page, this is going to happen. So when she initiates it, she might message me and say, why no Scorpios? And then I'll say, Well, they always seem cool at first, and we really hit it off. But then after a little bit, they get clingier, have a touch of the crazy. Then it's all downhill. Maybe I should just stick to blah, blah, blah. And I put that up. A lot of times if girls aren't Scorpios, I'll still ask that. Why no Scorpios? And I'll say, maybe I should just stick to Libras. And I'll say whatever she is. And that's why there's the wink, Steve, with my name at the end. So that's one example of how the girls message me first. I also like to do this a lot, where I message them, and it's just that. And then I look at their page. And I send this message before they even responded to the first one. And I go, wow, checking out your page, you actually look like you have a good head on your shoulders, which is getting harder and harder to find. What's your story, Steve? So now it's actually, I showed that I checked her out. I responded to her, and I'm like, oh, you actually seem like you're a cool chick. What's your story? Now it's an open invitation for her to open up about me. And that's one of my lines, too, I use all the time in field. And then I put my name. So messaging back and forth. One of my rules is I want to go short to long. So if I give a short message, if she gives me a short message, I give a long message. If she gives me a long one, I give her a short one. Because she's giving me a long one, she's more invested in it. I can give her a short one to respond. Then she'll come back to me with something else. Now, if she's giving me a short one, then I need to lengthen it up. Because I need to get something to get her hooked to come back to me. And then that's why you ask a couple questions, too, to get her to respond. A lot of times, 99%, 95% of the time, I'm not just responding to her questions. I'm always asking her something back. So that way she doesn't just read it. She goes, okay, I have this information I wanted, done. I'm always trying to get her to message me back. The name exchanges I kind of covered already. That's a big thing when they're doing the name. And if she doesn't give it, I'll call it out later. I'm like, hey, we're really talking. You haven't even told me your name yet. Now, here's something I use too. This is really, really good. Is when she tells me something that's awesome about her, I'll just say, oh, plus 5 points. That's awesome that you've gone skydiving. So two things usually happen when I start giving them points. They'll ask, what are the points for? And the other thing that happens is they don't ask anything about the points until I then subtract points from them. Like some girl will say something about how, what was the one the other day? She had said something about how she liked some lame TV show or something. And I was like, what? You watched that? And I was like, minus 2 points. And she goes, what? How can I have minus 2 points? That's not cool, blah, blah, blah. Actually, you know what? I think that transcript is up on the forum also. But you can see how, oh, she messaged me first, plus 5 points. And then she goes, what? Not negative 2 points. We're talking about, oh, that's what it was, back scratching, back massage. And she goes, oh, I'm not good at massage. I'm good at back tickling. I'm like, what? Why do you want to be good at back tickling? That's like the exact opposite of a back massage. It's nothing to brag about. Minus 2 points. And she goes, what? Not minus 2 points. Why am I getting that? She goes, I meant more like scratching. A good back scratch before you go to bed. That's nice. And I was like, all right, you're true. You're telling the truth. That's nice. Only minus 1 point for you. And we're still talking right now. It's pretty funny. But that's it. And then a lot of times they ask, what happens with the point system? Or what do the points mean? And I say, oh, when you get to 20, you get my phone number. Which is the next thing we want to do, the number exchange. And that's the big thing. My goal with this is I don't want to be messaging her back and forth on here. I want to try to get to the phone as soon as possible. So if I can do that in 3 messages, if I can do that in 20 messages, the sooner the better. Because every second she's on here, she's getting hit on by other guys. And you can't convey in your personality as well, and you can't invoke emotions like you can with your voice. So you always want to try to get on the phone. And my game plan is it's either like online to phone, online maybe to Facebook if I have to, but online to phone, and like same thing with online to text to phone. You always want to try to get voice to voice first, and then face to face. So that's my whole game plan. Online, phone, face to face. Just like in sales, you use the phone to make an appointment. You sell yourself face to face. So how do you transition to the phone? A couple different ways of doing it. The most effective are just throwing it out there. Sounds simple, but I'll just do it. I'll just throw my number out there sometimes. And a huge majority of the time, they'll either respond back with their number, which then is obviously an open invite to call them, or they'll just call you. And I have had a couple girls say, oh, what am I supposed to do with that? I'm like, you're a smart girl, figure it out. But a lot of times that just works. The 20-point system, I said that before. When you get to 20 points, you get the number. Well, then it becomes funny, and then I start asking them a couple questions, and you can really get within 4 cool things. Oh, you've gone skydiving, plus 5 points. Oh, you love cats? Oh, I have a cat. That's so cool. Plus 10 points for you. It doesn't take much to get to 20 points. So, and then here's another one, and this is the one I use a lot, where I go, man, my fingers are getting tired, typing all day, and I actually don't want to associate work with chatting with you. Free to chat in 10 minutes, and I throw my number out there. And I go, so you can call me and block it if you want. And I'll tell the girls, too, that, like, oh, you can hit, like, *67 or whatever, like, if you want to block. But really, I give them my number if they want, so that way they can call me first. and it kind of takes the pressure off. Usually what happens though when I say this, they just respond back. And this thing just happened to me on the girl at OkCupid that I'm going out with tomorrow. Same thing. I messaged her, gave her my number. She responds back, gives me her number. Well, then I call her. So by saying this, though, I was like, oh, I don't want to associate work with chatting with you. Free to chat in 10 minutes. I've also done it, too. Oh, we can convey so much more in 5 minutes on the phone than we could in an hour on here. So with the phone, just to give you guys some more tips, like with normal game, so when to call. I always want to try to call as soon as possible. Like, if I get the number, especially online, there hasn't been really deep attraction built yet. You want to call as soon as possible. So I say like about 10 minutes. Or if it's during the day, hey, when are you free to chat tonight? And you can even text her. Once you get the phone number, text her this. Because that way she starts texting. She has your number saved. It's locked in her phone more. Another thing is, too, how many conversations should you have on the phone? As few as possible. I like to do one. Sometimes I've had to do 2 or 3. But generally just one. You have a nice, cool conversation. You don't want to be hours and hours on the phone, just in like normal phone game in general, because you want to get face-to-face as soon as possible. So I've planned some dates where I've never even been on the phone with girls, but generally I get on the phone, we have one cool conversation. I'm like, hey, you know what? You seem really cool. We should hang out. What are you doing this week? I always want to do it this week. If it's near like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, then I might say next week. But I always try to do it during the week. Sundays are okay, but it's hard to plan on a Friday, Saturday. So I generally always try to go with a weekday. Oh, what are you doing Monday? What are you doing Wednesday? Like tomorrow I'm going out. It's Thursday. What are you doing on Thursday with the girl? Or what are you doing on Thursday? Let's hang out. Let's grab a drink. So I always want to try to do it on a weekday because I don't give Fridays and Saturdays away. This is just one of my general rules. I don't want to give away a Friday or Saturday to a girl I just met. That conveys I don't have anything else cool going on those days. She has to work towards those. And also, it's just a quick meetup. So, hey, let's just grab a drink. First date, same thing. Where to go? You want to go to somewhere public so that way she feels at ease. I will tell you, though, I've had tons of girls come over to my house for the first date because the way I frame it, oh, parking in LA is horrible. Come over here, I got a double spot, we'll go here. The other thing I like doing is just places that are within walking distance from my house. Because I don't tell her where I live. I don't want to know that she's driving 20 minutes, 20 miles, whatever. I go, oh, hey, there's this really cool place nearby, great Korean barbecue, blah, 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 and I build it up, and then we go there. Well, lucky for me, it's nearby, because if it's nearby, I can walk. When we're done, if we want, we can hang out, we can go back to my place, we take one car. Very, very simple. I kind of mentioned it just a second ago with Korean barbecue. You always want to do a date that is like something fun, that takes like the focus off of you guys. So if you're just meeting for coffee, that's a lot of pressure. Meeting for a drink's cool, but you want to go to a cool spot that has something going on. If you can go for sushi, if you can go for Korean barbecue, I go to this Mexican food place that has great chips and salsa, great guacamole, and great guacamole. And also, they have really awesome tacos. Like, and they're real cheap, they're small, you can eat a couple. Because I don't want to go on a date and be like starving. Because the purpose of the date isn't for me to stuff my face. It's for me to attract the girl. So how to make her feel comfortable? You want to go to, I skipped ahead on that. You want to go to a place that's just easy, low pressure, public, something that's cool, not super expensive, just a chill spot. So sushi, any of the stuff I already mentioned, just something simple. Like, and a lot of girls aren't comfortable with meeting you at your house or anything beforehand. Like, that's a good go-to plan for a date, a normal date, where you have the girl come over to your house first, walk inside, so that way it's easier for her to come back later. I do that all the time, but it's a little rougher on online dates because some girls get weirded out, which they should be. But I will tell you, though, I've had tons of girls come over to my house on the first date. So, long-term investment. So once you set up your page, it's working for you. You basically, once it's done and it's refined, you want it to keep working for you. Like, it's like a funnel. There's a sales funnel, they call it in marketing, internet marketing. I call it a pussy funnel. So once it's done and set up, this is what I did to OkCupid, I did it on a couple other sites. I just copied and pasted what I had from Plenty of Fish, what I found out worked really well, and refined it, and then I put it on those sites. Now, you do want to remember that when you go to these sites, you want to log in, and every once in a while I'll go in there and edit it. Maybe I'll remove a comma or add a period or add another space, because a lot of times when you edit your page, it'll then bump you to the top. Same thing when you log in. Recently logged in, it bumps you to the top. So I still have to do that, and then also make sure that you have it set up to email you when you get messages, so that way you can respond in a timely manner. You also don't want to respond super, super fast, but it depends. If I'm online, I might respond and message her back in 5-10 minutes. Other times it takes an hour. Sometimes it takes a day or two. But anyways, with this, once you set up a nice page, it's done. It's like the work's done, and then you got girls just coming to you. So it's very little work with big gain. So to me, it's like, even once I get bored of this, because I get really bored on online game, and I want to go back out again, or I'm trying something else, and I just won't do it. I won't even log in. but then I'm still getting tons of girls checking me out. I'm still getting lots of girls messaging me. So then I can just log in and check the girls out, and if they're hot, I'll message them back. Split testing, I mentioned this before. You want to test different angles. You want to test different headlines, different pictures, trying to make your page real cocky funny, trying to make it real smooth. You test all these different things out. There's another thing you can do on Plenty of Fish with invisible mode. Some girls can do this, incognito mode, I said earlier, where you can check them out and they can't see that you checked them out. That's a good way, too, to just see flat out how many girls are checking your page out of the blue. They're not going to their viewed me section, their viewed me section, yeah, that's a weird way of saying it, and message and then checking you out afterwards. So I tested that for a little bit. I decided in the long run not to use it, but I did test it. You might want to test it out and see how it works for you. Favoriting, this is something you can do on the page. You can favorite someone. I never do this. I think it's dumb. It's horrible. It's AFC. But I will admit, I did try an angle, and this actually worked a few times, where I'd favorite the girl, and then I would see that she checked me out. Because when you favorite someone, they get a message saying, oh, so-and-so favorited you. And I wait for her to look at my page. And then after she did that, I messaged her back right away. I go, oh, I skipped ahead. So I go, sorry. I go, just to let you know, you're probably looking at my page going, hey, who's this really good-looking guy who just favorited me out of the blue? Well, my name's Steve. I was just leaving work, or I was just going to bed, and I didn't want to lose you because I thought your page was really cool. So you're the first girl I ever favorited out of the blue without messaging you first, which might come off as a little dorky. But anyways, I saw you looked me out. Didn't want you to think I'm one of those normal guys, dorky guys who does it. So anyways, my name's Steve, and I'm going to hit on you tomorrow. And then she responded back right away going, awesome, I can't wait. So you can do it. It worked for some, but not as much as other, because tons of hot girls just get hundreds of favorites. So brand new. These are a couple other things I've been testing, and I tested some of this on one of my martial art forums. And this is a way when a girl checks you out and she doesn't message you. This is another angle you can do. You message her back, and the subject's shy girl, and then I go, you checked me out but didn't message me. Why not? Too shy? See, then you're kind of challenging her, and she now wants to qualify herself. No, I'm not too shy. But that's another way you can do it, a canned opener that you can use for any girl who messages you. Like I said, I'm testing OkCupid. I'm going to have more results on my online game forum section. But honestly, right now, it's just not nearly as effective as Plenty of Fish. All right, this is something that I'm just going to tell you. I'm not endorsing it. This is from the OG, my MMA forum I go to. I love Killing Time. That's great. What's really funny is the guys that actually set up a fake profile. And they were testing tons of this stuff that I had said to these guys there. And one of them would just try to take it even further than I did. Instead of saying I'm kind of an asshole, he put up a headline. And I don't endorse this. I shouldn't even be saying this in the audio or this video, but he said it just shows you the crazier the headline, sometimes the better it works.
So I actually had to remove a little part of that right there. We live in a much different world than we did several years ago when this video was first made. And if you guys ever see me in person, feel free to ask what the missing headline was. I'll share it with you. I don't endorse it, but it just kind of shows sometimes the crazier the shit is, the better it works. So I hope this helped. Like I said, if you have any questions, you can get on Discord. We have weekly calls, weekly group chats that we do. There's the blog. There's tons of information on there, all for free. And then obviously, if you need more help or don't want to have to sift through all the blog posts and search, and you just want to cut through all of it and get help directly from me, phone coaching, one-on-ones, and then we have the online game program. That's all out there on the website under coaching. So hopefully I hear from you soon, and I wish you all the best.